So I'm just following up with a little overview of what we did in class in case you weren't here or needed a little bit of a refresher. What we did is we started creating a project in Premiere by selecting New Project. We titled it something, My Project, and we made sure it was set to the desktop, and we went ahead and checked this little button to make sure we don't have to import anything. And we started off here with this window, and we went to Workspace and selected Editing. I'm going to reset my editing so it looks like yours, and this is where we started the class. We started by importing our media by double-clicking here and importing our voiceover from the project that we had, 11 Labs, and double-clicking it to open up in the viewer. This is where all our media is going to be, and this is where we'll be able to sample our media. We talked a little bit about using the space bar to actually listen to the media. We hit the play button here, we stopped it, and then we learned that we can take this and actually create a movie, the foundations of our movie with this. In order to do that, the next step was to create a sequence that would allow us to put this audio into. And the way we did that was we went to File, New Sequence. This allowed us to create a high definition 1080p movie that's 29 frames per second. This was the one we selected, and we hit OK. When we did that, we noticed our sequence was set down here. We titled it My Movie, and notice that when we double click this, it opened up here. So this is my movie and this is my movie. These two things are related. Also, we talked a little bit about how this scrubbing element here and this scrubbing element are totally different, right? This one allows us to hear what's in this viewer window, which is this, and this allows us to see what's in our movie area and hear that. In order to get the audio into our sequence, we went ahead and selected this little icon here that says drag audio, and we moved it into the A1 area and let go. We talked a little bit about zooming by using the plus button. Notice that when you click on different windows, the blue outline selects these. So when you're in the timeline view and it's blue, you can hit the minus button to zoom out and the plus button to zoom in. So minus and plus. We can move the playhead to where we want to start, and also wherever we zoom, it's going to zoom based on where our playhead is. To start and stop playing our playhead, we talked about using the spacebar to start and the spacebar to stop. And again, plus allows us to zoom in. This was our audio track, so what we wanted to do was edit the audio track. To do that, we needed to make it a little bigger by clicking on this little line right here and extending it, and also hitting the plus a couple times. We talked in class about how we can trim this audio by either grabbing the ends and pulling them in. That takes off that part, right? Pulling it back out. Or we were able to use our razor tool, the letter C, to cut certain things. I'm going to hit the plus button a couple times to cut out certain elements like what we see here in order for us to remove ums and things that we don't need. I go back to I always use the razor tool once to cut something up, but then I always go back to my selection tool, the letter V, in order to select these elements. Like I can select this and then hit the delete key to delete it. I can always bring this back by opening this back up, but once it's cut, you can actually fill this space by selecting it, making it white, and then hitting the delete key, and that will snap those two things together. And again, each of these clips now, we've made two, right? Each of these clips can be trimmed on either end. And again, to remove spacing, just hit the delete button and things snap together. We talked about how we could adjust the volume for each of these clips using the line tool, right? The line on each of these clips, and that allows the sound to be a little less prominent or a little more prominent. And because this is narrative based, once we've got our narration on our timeline and everything is cut up the way we want it, and all extra audio that we don't want is removed, and it sounds really good, what we want to do is then lock that layer so nothing changes on that layer. For the next part of the class, we brought in some video footage. This was some random video footage we took. We hit the Shift key to select everything. So clicked on the first track, the first video, and then holding the Shift key down, selected everything, and we went ahead and imported. And the way we got to the import on the second time, we can double click here, but we can also go to File, Import down here, or Command I, and that'll bring open that window as well. We imported our footage, and then what we were able to do is double click on any one of them to bring it open in our viewer window. This allowed us to take a look at what the video was. We can also just use our mouse and just scrub over the video itself without clicking on anything, and we can see what the video is of. So you can see these are all different videos. To bring this video into the timeline, we clicked on this little icon. This makes sure that the video comes in without the audio, and then we let go. And then what we were able to do is, first off, double clicking the video brings it open in the viewer window. So this video now is this video, and you can see that it's too small. So what we need to do is go to the effects control and then click on the scale and make it larger. So that's one of the things that we did here, turned it into 150. We also trimmed it a little bit so that it would fit at the point where we want it to change. So maybe we want it to change right here. And then we went on with the next video, double clicking that, seeing what that is. Looks good, bringing it into our timeline. Notice I brought it in this way, and notice that if I do that, it brings in the audio for it as well. This might not be what you want, so I'm going to undo Command Z, and I'm going to bring it in using this video only, and then drag that in. So now we have the following video, and we can see now this video is too big. So we double click that, go to the effects control. If it's too long of a name, you want to go here, and then we scale this down. So depending on what the video is, you're going to scale it up or down, right? So we scale it to here, we trim it by pulling in from the tab, and then we go to our next video, which is the woman maybe sitting under a tree branch here. Double click it, we look at the video, nice, we probably want to end it here. Now here's a trick, we want to start it maybe right here, we hit the I for in, and then we want to end it like right here, and we hit the O for out. And now it's only going to allow us to pull in this video from this point to this point. So we can drag that in by using this little tool here and let it go. And you'll see that it actually drags and ends at the exact point here that we see here. If we go to the edge point, you can kind of see. Again, we can trim this up a little more if we wanted to, or trim it in here. So now we have these three videos. And you'll notice that in order for us to use this, we want to double click it to bring it open here, select the effects control, and then scale it up in this case so that it fits in this frame, just like that. So we went through the other clips as well. Here's this one, these two. I'll just put those in very quickly. Notice that if you drag them in from over here, you do get the audio, but because we locked this, it doesn't replace it. If we want to remove, we want to keep the video, but we want to remove the audio, you hold the Option key down by deselecting everything, hold the Option key down, and then select, and that allows you to delete just the things that are that you don't want. So holding the Option key down doesn't select the video. If you don't hold the Option key down, notice how both are selected. So again, holding the Option key down when selecting, then hitting delete. So let's make these feel like they're finished. So now we have our entire thing, double clicking and changing our effects scale, and then finally double click effects and scale. And not only can you scale, but you can also move the position left or right if it were an image, right? So it's not just scaling that you can do here. You can also rotate, right? Or you can move the position left or right. So if it were an image. So here's what we've got so far. Now, what we went over in class was, say you want to add a title. So we go to our beginning of our area here. We click on the T tool for title or text. Click here, and this becomes our title, right? and then we click back on the selection tool so that we can select this, make it bigger, move it around, maybe here, whatever. And notice that this title is on as long as this purple is on. So the minute the title hits this area, it goes away. You can kind of see that. You can make this longer, or shorter, and you can use this by copying it and pasting it at any point. So if you needed some stuff at the end, you could just go here at the end, and now you would have that title and this title. And you can change things, obviously. Right. Also in class, we brought in some audio. So let's go to File, Import. And we brought in some music for this piece. So we went to Music, Background Music, and we selected it. And we brought that in, and we made sure to put it on A2. And you'll notice it's a really long piece of music. So there's a couple ways we can zoom out, and then we can pull this in, right? Or we could have just used the cut tool, C for cut. That jumps you to that. And then you can cut it, and then select, and then just delete this part. If you ever need anything back, you can always extend these back out, right? So if you ever cut something and you think it's too much. By the way, I'm using the scroll wheel to scroll here, and then scroll wheel for here as well. Okay, one thing we didn't talk about in class was the fading tool. So if you want to fade something out that's audio, you'll notice that if you've got the audio selected, I'm going to hit the tilde so that we can see this large screen. And I'm going to make this waveform pretty big. You notice that these little dots here, we can trim here, right, for all our, but for audio, you've got this fade out right here, which is really nice, as well as at the beginning, you see this little dot, and that allows you to fade the music in. You can change or adjust the volume by using this line tool right here. And if you want to dynamically adjust this, in other words, you want it to go from low but then get high in a certain point and then get low again, you can actually hold the Option key down, the Command key down, and this allows you to put dots on the line. When you have dots on the line, this allows you to modify the stuff in between the dots. Do you see? You can physically change the dot itself, right? And this is the audio levels, or you can actually just remove the dots by hitting delete, and then having everything adjusted at the same amount by just moving this line here. Okay, tilde allows us to see everything again. For our video, if we go from cut to cut, that is called a straight cut. Do you notice how it just goes straight into the next thing? But if we want to fade in, I'm going to hit the plus button a couple times. You can right-click on the middle of any of these tabs and apply a default transition. If you do that, you'll notice that it fades to the next thing. Do you see how that worked? So this transitioning of crossfading is possible as long as the videos overlap. So if I move this up, for instance, you see I have a little bit of extra on this side, and I have a little extra on this side. So in order for this to crossfade, you need to have some of that stuff so that it fades into the next thing, right? And then right-clicking right on that little thing will apply the cross dissolve, as you can see. So I think that's as far as we got for class. Let's see, some extra things I would suggest is saving all the time. So File, Save, Command S, because it won't save. And remember, all of this footage is not really attached to anything. It's in a folder on your desktop, and if you move this project around, you need to move that media around with it. At this point, we exported in class, so we went to the Export tab at the top. Just so you're not confused, this is what it looks like. Went to the Export tab, and then we selected the location, made sure it was the desktop, and we named it something like example. We changed the bitrate to match source adaptive high bitrate, and then format H.264, and then we made sure before we exported by using our playhead to make sure that we didn't have too much black at the end here. We want to make sure it ends where it's supposed to end. We hit export. It encoded all the file, exported the sequence, and what happened on the desktop, is our example movie is now ready to upload and view. Some last final suggestions and tidbits. Again, very nice if you are using video here to create your in and out points so that you have you know exactly what you're bringing in, and you have a little bit of leeway to fix it by let me just bring some video in. As long as you have that, it means that you can expand it or you can always contract it. This is called a rough cut, just so you know. Also, notice that if you put the video on different layers, the layers at the bottom will be occluded by anything that's above it. So you can do picture in picture here. Another trick is to, when you are physically on top of video, like you can see this one, you can see here I'm on top of this one, but here I'm on top of this one. If I select it and then double click, that allows me to physically move that video around and scale it in a more natural way. And again, this allows me to do it without going to the effects controls and finding that video's effects, because doing this actually changes these numbers, as you can see. So I can change the scale here to 99, or I can change the scale here, and you'll notice here the numbers are changing. So that's a kind of a trick. To delete something, you can hit delete. To delete spaces in between things, so for instance, here's my area. Say I had a black space. In class, we showed you how to get rid of these small gaps by selecting them and then hitting the delete tool, and that snaps everything together, as you can see. I'll just undo that. Let's see, is there anything else that you guys need? I think that was it. And good luck finding all your footage for the Thursday class.